guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, be sure to like and subscribe. So this video was suggested to me by one of my subscribers, so thank you so much for this video suggestion. I don't really know how I'm gonna film it. I'm just gonna talk and edit it so that it makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, I'm very sorry, but I'm gonna try my best. So I'm gonna do two parts for this video. One's gonna be focusing on how I draft and outline and basically just write my books in general. The next part is gonna be how I develop my characters. This is the first part, so check back soon for the second one. I don't really know how I come up with book ideas. Sometimes I just I'm thinking of an idea and I'm like, ooh, that sounds cool. I really want to write about this. Or I'm watching something and I'm like, oh, it would be cool if I wrote something with this kind of vibe. And an idea just forms and I just think about the characters a lot, and that kind of helps me develop the plot, I would say, which we'll talk about more in the second part. I just kind of develop the story and think about what I can add in to keep the readers engaged and what I would want to be reading, and I try to make it not too boring, and I add action when it's getting boring. I add a good amount of dialogue and descriptions to even it out, so it's not just a book of talking or just a book of descriptions, if that makes sense. How I outline my books, I have this notepad that I use. I call it my ideas notepad, and it's where I write down any ideas for stories I have, any character development, any outlining. So for my outline, I write down each of the chapters, like chapter 1, chapter 2, and then I write a few sentences of what I want to happen in the chapter. Even if when I'm writing it, I expand and make there be more chapters, or what's the opposite of expand? Unexpand and make it less. Or if I make plot lines that were going to be really big, if I make them smaller in the actual draft, then that's fine. But for my outline, I just write what I want to happen. So for example, I can use Project Ruby as an example. So for Project Ruby, it starts out with a bunch of backstory. So in chapter 1, I wanted it to be all the backstory that leads up to the events of the actual story. In my ideas notepad, I would write chapter 1, attack on Veda's village. And then in chapter 2, she meets Tristan. So in chapter 2, I'd write Veda meets Tristan. And whatever else would happen in that chapter, I'd write, I think there's a storm in that chapter, so I write rainstorm happens here. I don't even write out full sentences. I kind of write as if I'm just jotting it down just to get out of my head. And that's what my outline kind of looks like. So I just go through each chapter and kind of write down just a few sentences about it. And originally for Project Ruby, I had only outlined to 13 chapters, and the book ended up being 21 chapters. So I expanded a lot, and I'm not done editing it, and I think I'm going to add 4 more chapters that weren't even in the outline. So I think that it's good to not stay super duper connected to the outline that you make, because you're allowed to change it if you want. It's your book, so it's completely up to you. But I definitely don't stay completely connected to the outline. I just use it kind of as a guide to kind of know where I'm trying to go, because if I don't plan anything throughout the book, I can't put foreshadowing. I'll get stuck more and writer's block more. It's harder to know where you're going if you don't know what it looks like on how to get there. I hope that makes sense. I haven't actually done a bunch of draft 1s and draft 2s and all that yet, but I'll explain what I'm going through for the draft process to help it maybe make more sense for you guys. My draft 1 was literally me just typing out the book. I followed my outline a little bit, but obviously I expanded a lot because I got to 21 chapters, and my plan for the book was actually 40,000 words, and I got to 40,000 words at my first draft, so that was exciting. And I literally just typed it out with very minor edits. I tried my best not to go back and edit whatever I was doing. I just typed it all out how it came out of my mind. That's what my draft 1 was. Draft 2 was me reading the book and adding like extra commas or periods if I forgot them, or capitalizing letters that I forgot, fixing paragraphs, maybe adding like a different speech tag for the dialogue. Maybe I added a few sentences on a description, like those type things. That was what my draft 2 looked like. And I just recently finished draft 2, so I finished reading the whole book and adding minor edits. And I haven't done draft 3 yet, or draft 4, or however many drafts I'm gonna have, but my plan for draft 3 is that I will be reading the book through, and in it I will be adding a lot more description, any more dialogue that I needed to add. I'll be lengthening scenes that were too short, and I'm gonna be adding like 4 chapters, I think, and it will expand my book to hopefully like 50,000 to 60,000 words. I hope it will just be expanding my book and adding on to it, and it'll be the major edits, so I'll be editing out things that don't need to be in there. I'll be fixing a lot of plot holes. I'll be clearing things up and all of those things. And I think what it'll probably be is draft 4 will end up being me rereading the book again and then fixing more things, just like little things again, and then draft 5 will be like the last read through before I actually like let someone else read it other than my sister. That's kind of how I see the drafting process. So I hope that kind of makes more sense. And I'm pretty sure like everyone has a different draft process, everyone has a different outline process. I've also never done a draft process before, so I could be completely wrong on how you do this, but this is how I'm doing it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'm sorry if this video was really boring, but it was just me talking, so I'm guessing most of you didn't stay till the end. So if you did, comment a book emoji. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.